Imagine swallowing a pill you believe is harmless, only to discover it's silently eroding your mind. In just a few months, your memory could start slipping, your thoughts could blur, and confusion might creep in. Every day, countless older adults rely on medications for issues like pain, sleeplessness, or allergies, unaware that some of these drugs could be paving the way for cognitive decline or even dementia. Groundbreaking studies have revealed a chilling reality. Certain widely used prescriptions may increase the risk of memory issues by as much as 80%. Even more alarming, many of these drugs are routinely prescribed to seniors, often without a whisper of their potential to harm the brain. This video uncovers 9 common medications tied to cognitive risks, including one linked to the most severe brain changes ever observed in older adults. If you or a loved one are taking any of these, it's critical to understand the stakes and know what questions to ask your healthcare provider before it's too late. Let's start with opioids, a class of drugs often prescribed for pain relief. These include medications like oxycodone, hydrocodone, morphine, fentanyl, and codeine. Consider the story of Margaret, a 70-year-old who began taking oxycodone after hip surgery. Initially it dulled her pain, but soon she started misplacing items and struggling to follow conversations. One evening she asked her daughter why the walls were singing. Over time her mental fog thickened, and 3 years later she received a diagnosis of early-stage dementia. Research indicates that prolonged opioid use can accelerate cognitive decline by up to 40%. These drugs don't just soothe physical discomfort, they dampen brain activity, disrupting neural pathways critical for memory and emotional regulation. Chronic use can weaken the brain's white matter, leading to slower thinking, emotional detachment, and memory lapses. The longer these medications are taken, the more the brain adapts by shutting down essential functions, quietly undermining cognition until the damage becomes undeniable. Next we have benzodiazepines, often prescribed for anxiety or insomnia. These include drugs like diazepam, lorazepam, alprazolam, and clonazepam. Take the case of George, a 68-year-old widower who was given lorazepam to help him sleep after losing his spouse. At first it worked, but within months, his family noticed odd behaviors. He'd leave his keys in the refrigerator or call his son by the wrong name. One night he tried to water his plants with orange juice. 3 years after starting the medication, George was diagnosed with moderate dementia. Studies show benzodiazepines can increase dementia risk by 32% to 80%, depending on dosage and duration. These drugs calm the brain by suppressing activity, but this suppression doesn't stop at anxiety. It impairs memory formation and mental sharpness. Long-term use is linked to neuron loss, confusion, and even hallucinations. Shockingly, these medications are still commonly prescribed to older adults, often for extended periods, with little mention of their potential to harm cognitive health over time. Muscle relaxants are another concern, frequently used for chronic pain or spasms. Drugs in this group include cyclobenzaprine, carisoprodol, and tizanidine. Picture Ellen, a 74-year-old who started cyclobenzaprine for back pain. Soon, her family noticed she was acting strangely, mixing up her grandchildren's names or trying to cook in the laundry room. One day, she asked if her cat was her long-deceased sister. Initially, her family chalked it up to aging, but her confusion worsened, leading to a vascular dementia diagnosis 4 years later. A 2020 study tied long-term muscle relaxant use to a 36% higher risk of dementia. These drugs sedate the central nervous system to ease muscle tension, but this sedation also dulls mental clarity, especially in older adults. Over time, the brain becomes accustomed to this sluggish state, eroding memory, focus, and decision-making skills. Many assume these medications are safe for occasional use, but regular use can quietly impair the brain's ability to stay sharp. First-generation antihistamines, often used for allergies or as sleep aids, are another hidden risk. These include diphenhydramine, chlorpheniramine, and hydroxyzine, commonly found in over-the-counter products. James, a 72-year-old, started taking diphenhydramine nightly to help with insomnia and allergies. Within a year he began repeating questions and forgetting appointments. Once, he left his wallet in the oven, insisting it belonged there. 2 years later, he couldn't find his way home from the grocery store. By the time his family sought answers, James showed early signs of Alzheimer's. Research links long-term use of these antihistamines to a 54% increased dementia risk. They block acetylcholine, a neurotransmitter vital for memory and learning, and in older adults with naturally lower acetylcholine levels, this can hasten cognitive decline. These drugs are widely available, often marketed as harmless, but daily use, especially at night, can trigger far more than temporary forgetfulness. Sleep medications designed to combat insomnia also carry significant risks. Drugs like zolpidem, azopiclone, and temazepam fall into this category. Sarah, a 70-year-old, was prescribed zolpidem for chronic sleeplessness. Weeks later, her family noticed she seemed disoriented, often wandering her home at odd hours or mistaking her toothbrush for a spoon. A year on, she struggled to recognize her own reflection. At 72, she was diagnosed with mild cognitive impairment, with no signs of improvement. A 2019 study found that seniors using sleep medications several times a week face a notably higher dementia risk. These drugs disrupt deep sleep phases critical for memory processing and brain repair, altering brainwave patterns and accelerating cognitive decline. Even after discontinuation, the damage may persist, as these medications impair the brain's natural ability to restore itself, setting the stage for long-term cognitive issues. You might wonder if stopping these medications can undo the harm. For some, like benzodiazepines or sleep aids, halting use may improve mental clarity if caught early, as the brain has some capacity to recover. However, for drugs linked to long-term brain changes such as those contributing to dementia, the damage may be irreversible. Stopping the medication might slow further decline, but lost cognitive function is often permanent. This makes early awareness critical. Knowing the risks now could protect your brain later. Statins, used to manage cholesterol, are another surprising entry. These include atorvastatin, simvastatin, and rosuvastatin. Henry, a 73-year-old, began high-dose statins after a heart health scare. Months later, he started forgetting his daily routines, once trying to mail his shoes in the dishwasher. His wife grew alarmed when he woke her at midnight, convinced the floor was dissolving. 3 years later, Henry was diagnosed with early dementia. A 2020 study found a 58% higher risk of memory issues in long-term statin users. Statins deplete coenzyme Q10, a nutrient crucial for brain cell energy, and may lower cholesterol levels too drastically, weakening neural connections. While statins can be life-saving for heart health, their cognitive risks in high doses deserve careful consideration, especially for seniors. Proton pump inhibitors used for acid reflux also pose concerns. Drugs like omeprazole, esomeprazole, and lansoprazole are common culprits. Clara, a 75-year-old, took omeprazole for years to manage heartburn. Gradually, she began confusing objects, once trying to drink from a candle. Her family was stunned when she mistook her grandson for a stranger. 3 years after starting the drug, Clara was diagnosed with early dementia. Studies link long-term PPI use to a 44% higher dementia risk, as these drugs impair vitamin B12 absorption and disrupt gut health, both critical for brain function. Often prescribed for short-term use, PPIs are frequently taken for years, amplifying their cognitive risks, especially in older adults already showing memory changes. Antipsychotics used to manage mood or agitation are particularly concerning. These include risperidone, olanzapine, and quetiapine. Thomas, a 70-year-old, was prescribed quetiapine for sleep issues and irritability. Soon he began acting erratically, trying to unlock his TV with a fork or speaking to his reflection as if it were someone else. Within 2 years, he was diagnosed with early dementia. A 2023 review linked prolonged antipsychotic use to brain volume loss in areas tied to memory and reasoning. These drugs block dopamine, disrupting focus and emotional stability, and in older adults, this can accelerate cognitive decline. Alarmingly, antipsychotics are often prescribed to calm seniors, yet they may hasten the very issues they're meant to address. Tricyclic antidepressants used for pain, depression, or insomnia round out the list. Drugs like amitriptyline and imipramine are common. Lillian, a 76-year-old, started amitriptyline for nerve pain. Over time, she began acting out of character, using a shoe as a phone or insisting her couch was hiding something. Her family dismissed it as quirks until her memory lapses became severe, leading to a dementia diagnosis at 80. These drugs disrupt acetylcholine, increasing dementia risk significantly, especially when combined with other cognitive-impairing medications. Widely prescribed for multiple conditions, their long-term risks are often downplayed, leaving seniors vulnerable to cognitive harm. Some medications are essential, but others may quietly compromise your mind before you notice. Older adults deserve to know the risks and ask their doctors, "Is this safe for my cognitive health?" Once memory issues take root, reversal may not be possible. What are your thoughts on this? Check out our next video for more health insights to help you live your best life. You won't want to miss it. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you there.